So I was sitting around in the morning on Sunday watching the Gamecast, waiting for Matt Schaub to screw up. When's it going to come? The interception, the fumble, the sack on fourth down, the throwaway on fourth down. When's he going to screw it up? It didn't come. I got to give Matt Schaub credit because I think he's pretty awful. I think he's, another $15 million bust in a league full of overpaid mediocre players. But he stepped up today. He got it done because Miami, they played a pretty good game. Pennington continues to complete most of his passes. Pennington's having a wonderful season. They continue to run those trick plays really well, really confusing other offenses. They got this great two-headed rushing attack, Ronnie and Rookie. I still think that they could win 7-8 games, maybe even contend for a postseason spot. Don't put money on it. I'm just saying it could happen. So, looking at the stat sheet, you wonder where Miami went wrong. Matt Schaub, yeah, he almost threw for 400 yards. That's a problem. But Houston didn't run the ball that well. Slayton never got started. Schaub still threw 2 interceptions and I think had some fumbles. Miami only had the 1 turnover, and the guy who intercepted it, Eugene Wilson, actually fumbled it immediately, and Miami got the ball back, so that was meaningless. So, where did they go wrong? Didn't cover Andre Johnson. That doesn't help. They gave up a lot of big plays through the air to Kevin Walter and Owen Daniels, mainly Andre Johnson, but those guys too. There was obviously the defensive drive at the end, but that's pretty obvious, I think. And 2-3 in a AFC where there's quite a bit of competition, so that's going to hurt them. I still like them. I don't know if they can compete now, but props to Houston getting that first win. Coming up clutch. I mean, I was waiting for Schaub to throw a pick on that last drive, and he just kept moving them down the field. What else can you say? And Mario had another good day. Mario playing pretty well right now. Tampa, Carolina. Little something missing in Carolina, isn't there? I've never been a big fan of Jake Delhomme. I'm not going to lie. I know there are some Panthers fans out there who really do like Jake, and I completely understand why. He is a quality starting quarterback. He's a competent starter anyway. He can get the job done most Sundays, but I really think that the Tommy John surgery is really gonna accelerate the end of his career. We might already be getting really close there, to be quite honest. So after a thrashing like that, given that Minnesota had similar problems against the Vikings, you can't just throw this game aside. You gotta stop and think, okay, what does this team need? Jake obviously played really bad at this game, so you're gonna pick on him. Maybe you should, because his season so far has been decent, but it's not going to be enough to get this team where it wants to be. I mean, this is a good running game. They have a good running game with D'Angelo Williams and Jay Stu. And, obviously both their offensive tackles are hurt. They'll get them back, and that'll help. Even so, this running attack should be able to do well. It wasn't able to, and I think some of that comes back to Jake. This team has also several good receivers. They got Steve Smith, Muhsin Muhammad. They're getting reasonable production out of guys you may have not heard so much of, like DJ Hackett and Dwayne Jarrett maybe even will come along. I don't know about him. I think he's another USC bust. We'll see where he goes. They got a pretty good defense. They got the pieces, so there's a little something missing. I think it's Jake, and people like Jake. He seems likable to most people, not to me personally, but to a lot of people, he's a likable guy. I never saw it, but I think he's just getting near the end of his career, and Tommy John surgery was like a kiss of death. So we'll keep an eye on where that goes, obviously, because they still got the pieces to make the postseason. Regardless, they should still be in the playoffs. Bucks, dangerous, aren't they? They keep lingering. Last year, I thought they would be the worst team in the league, and they won their division. So this year, I thought they would fall off, but they are lingering. Garcia, he's not what he was last year, but he's still solid, can still get the job done for this team. Now that he's starting for Tampa, I think the playoffs are back in sight. Warrick Dunn having a career revitalization in Tampa. Ran for over 115 yards yesterday. Played great game. Ernest Graham unselfishly deciding to play fullback. Really awesome on his part. Just managing the game and defense, forcing turnovers left and right, getting good pressure. Just a good, solid, all-around effort by Tampa. So, let's think about them. That division is gonna be tough. Colts, Ravens. Finally, Finally, the real Colts show up. The real Colts stand up. Manning went lights out, and he was maybe even better than the stats. He had a big pass play where his receiver got tackled at the 1. Reggie Wayne went out at the 1. Remember that? And he also had a touchdown to Wayne that got called back on a penalty. So he might even be better than his great numbers. Wayne had a big day. Harrison played well. He had a couple touchdowns. Dominic Rhodes came on because of injury and ran the ball real well against a tough Ravens defense. I'm a little worried about Adai because he's been struggling a little bit so far this year. Hopefully he'll come back, play well next week against, who do they play? I can't remember who they play. I think it's a team with a suspect run D. Maybe I'll think of it later. Anyway, back to the game. Big story of this game was probably the Colts defense. Baltimore could not run on them. They just could not get the ball moving upfield. They forced 3 turnovers. They got to Robert Mathis went out of his mind. They were just getting great pressure. They had the 3 turnovers, forcing Flacco into bad throws, forcing fumbles. Just a polishing by Indy, and that lets you know that they're back when a team does that. Baltimore, maybe the first 2 weeks. Maybe we jumped on the popsicles a little too fast on this team. They beat the Bengals and the Browns. Neither team is really that good. You got to think here. They got a rookie quarterback who's obviously going through his learning jumps. Who's obviously still learning. They got a shaky offensive line. Defense is a little old. So, I still like them. I still think they could be okay this year. Maybe we jump the gun a little bit with them. We'll see where they go. Right now, I'm thinking they could win 7 or 8 games. That's their roof to me. Rams, Redskins. And nothing can bring a team down faster than that, Washington. I'm looking at you. I'll tell you what, I'll chalk this up to the no effing way game. It's a trigger in Madden, where the computer AI is just suddenly randomly going to decide, you're not winning this game, buddy. And you're going to fumble 7 times. You're going to throw 30 interceptions. You're going to do whatever it takes. The computer's going to make you do whatever it takes for you to lose that game. It's a rumor that it exists in Madden. I think this was one of those games for Washington. I think offensive linemen touched the ball for them twice, and both of them fumbled it at least once. One of them led to a touchdown, maybe twice. Their offense didn't turn it over. They ran the ball well. They passed the ball efficiently, and they still couldn't put points up. So some of that is on the team. You got to put the blame on that, but put blame on them for that. But I think this was a little bit of a no effing way game. St. Louis had the defensive touchdown. And then after the Redskins took the 1-point lead, they actually drove down and kicked the field goal, and that drive included a 3rd and 17 or something conversion, and that's a little flukish in and of itself. I think Washington probably blitzed too hard on that play. I hated the blitz call on that play. That really hurt them, so it's a bad loss. Washington deserves to get made fun of, but I'll chalk it up to the no effing way game. And I still think they could be good this year.